Ready to go.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Devon Larratt, how are you cheeky son of a gun? Oh, you got me good with that thing, man. This whole vector thing's blowing my mind, and yeah, you put the icing on the cake, I think. How you been, man?
Yeah, it was you're easy picking right now.
I honestly didn't recognize you at first. Your accent was confusing me so much. I didn't know.
It was really good, right? All these trips to Australia have really paid off.
I think a bit of New Zealand Kiwi accent came out halfway through it as well, though. So
Yeah,
it wasn't entirely perfect.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But it was good. It was good.
That was done, I think, at 6 or 7 in the morning on New Year's Eve day. My buddy and I we're like, let's make fun of Blue.
It's good fun. It's good. It's good fun. I put my neck out there, and it deserves to get kicked around at the moment. I think so. After my Zloty performance, but anyway.
Whatever. Yeah. It's good you take those chances. You know, I'm just teasing you. Like, whatever.
No, I'm glad I got the invite back to the bottom, mate. I think I know Evan. I really enjoyed that match with Evan, so I'm happy to kick that man even harder this time. So sounds good.
Yeah, well, bottom eight's going to be really interesting this year. We obviously, I'm letting it out slowly because the way I plan events is really loose.
Yeah.
So the way it'll go is it'll just build basically from when I start. I'm just back from vacation. Like really now, today is like my first day really back.
Yep.
And we'll just build it all the way to the event.
Yeah, wicked. Wicked. Well, last year's bottom eight.
A
lot of what?
So I broke up a little bit there, but we got some interesting new people.
Yeah. It'll be good. I mean, last year's event was the highlight of the calendar for me, and I thought it's hard to pass up the opportunity to pull it again. Even though it's as you said, it's a massive step backwards in my progression, and I've gotten that much worse.
Dude, you were going so good. You won the bottom eight. Then and I know there was a lot of controversy about some of your wins, but you had some nice, really sweet wins.
Yeah.
Down to
Dallas and Mosier.
Mosier.
Yeah.
Big. Those are really legit names. Anyway, you cut it. Welcome to the WAL. Nice match with Guerra.
Yeah.
And then
Zloty. I went one step too far.
Hey, listen. When I went over to Poland, I went 6-0 too. So
yeah. But you had Denis Saplenkov. I saw Denis Saplenkov, and I saw the small version of Denis, and that man's a monster in any condition.
Yeah,
so
he's a monster.
Big dude. But hey, the aside from the jokes, I actually wanted to ask you some questions about your opinion on the difference of pulling WAL style, Zloty style, and also then, just to help me get my head back in the game, arm versus hand versus side versus everything fundamentals, my style as a medium-sized arm wrestler. Like, to give it some more context, when I went to Zloty, obviously that was the first tournament that I'd pulled, or first time I put my arm on a table since training under Todd. And Todd had no doubt dramatically increased the conditioning of my inner elbow. So much to the point where I was like feeling like that might have even been my ace. But I went to Zloty, and I didn't try to be Todd. I tried to be a top roller. I thought, I got to get quick wins, so you just go for a top roll. And I never even got my top roll away once. I got bumped into hooks in the matches that were balanced, and I just got belted in the matches where I got belted. And I remember sitting there thinking, should I have just committed to a hook and driven sideways from the start, or should I have been me and tried to? Because I didn't want to do my typical squeeze that I do in a super match. I just wanted to get a quick win, and didn't happen. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you went against some pretty tough guys, right? So I mean, it's tough to go in there against the guy who's really, really good and be like, I'm going to get a quick win on him. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's one thing if you're Andre Pushkar, you know, if your strength is really above the field, then yeah, get your quick wins in. But if your strength is even with the field, you just, to think about getting a quick pin is it's just short-sighted.
Yeah.
And it's probably not going to work. So I think the first thing is a really accurate assessment is required in any format, whether it's WAL, whether it's PAL, whether it's tournament. You got to really be able to take a good look at the guy across the table from you, understand who's stronger, and then figure out, you know?
Yeah. I enjoy being the weaker man in an arm wrestling match. That's one of the reasons I love the sport, is because that feeling of not being stronger than your opponent but still beating them is really awesome. And
yeah, very rewarding.
Yeah, and it felt that way. It felt that way against Alienkov, my first round right arm match. That he ended up coming second, Alienkov, and he just looked and felt bigger than me.
Yeah.
You know, his presence was much bigger. I don't know what he walks around at, but I think it's more than the inflated version of me that was there. What? Who else did I? My next match, the one I won.
Guy.
The Latvian guy, Raymond Zantanovic. He felt balanced with me, but he had just better hand at the start, and so I was denied my top roll that I was looking for again. Then was fighting an uphill battle, and the round I did win, which was I got lucky. He was pinning me an elbow foul. And then the on the restart, I said, well, just commit to a hook, and that would have been, had that have been a WAL match, it would have been like a 30-40 second burner, because I could feel it was stopped. But
it looked pretty tight.
We didn't get to finish that that match, which is one sucky thing about the rigid rules. But that's another topic.
Yeah.
But so
I think I'll try and give you a pat on the back for the beginning. You know, kind of try and give you a sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, it's the great thing that you're doing. Like, I'm an old arm wrestler, really. Like, I've been at it a while, and I've tried a lot of things, and I kind of now, for the most part, know what I'm doing. And I still try and keep my mind open to a lot of things and try and take it in. And I run experiments, and I go off path, and I see you, and you're doing great in that regard. Like, you have a really open mind, and you've sought out the tutelage of a lot of the most reputable, intelligent guys in the sport, which is really great for you, especially, like, what have you got, 6 years in?
6.5 years,
So you're way ahead of the game in terms of exposure, which is fantastic. And I think that, it's probably going to take you years to kind of take all the lessons that you've learned and kind of mature them and dry them out and kind of take what really you can use from all of them. I'll tell you just some general guys, because I get to watch you and I identify a little bit because I've been there. I'd say there's a couple things that you got to watch out for. And all of us are in this sport to some degree because we love strength. We think it's cool to be strong, and it is, right? It's super cool.
Yeah.
And we fall in love with those gains in the gym, and we all do. It's one of the reasons why we are able to get better, because we love strength. But there's an interesting thing in arm wrestling, which you kind of have to hold on to some degree. And everything that I say is only partially true. Okay, there's no 100% statement I'm going to give you. But the partially true statement, which I'm going to give you, is arm wrestling is very much about attacking weakness. And it's less so about where you are strong. Less so. And I just know that I am a fan of Todd Hutchings. Okay. I am. But there are some things that he says, preaches, that I have major objections to. One of the things that I have major objection to Todd Hutchings' style is that he preaches excellence and not winning.
Okay.
That statement just trips me right out.
Okay.
Like, just throws me for some kind of a spin, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? There's this strange perception that the sport is like, the sports is only about one thing. It's about winning. That's it. As soon as you get away from that and be like, I want to win a certain way, you're failing your experiment. Okay. And there's this premise floating around in the internet troll world / internet, I don't really get it fully where it really comes from.
Yeah, there's a culture there.
Some people feel that it's somehow more macho to win in some ways than others. While there may be flair points and cool points for doing some, good stuff in the sport, at the end of the day, it's about winning. And you should never, ever get away from that. And so that's my first kind of point with Todd, where I'm like, I just want to win. That's my base philosophy. I don't really care how it does it. If I can be cool and win, I'm going to do that. But I want to win first. The second thing,
and you're talking about a style of winning in terms of the arm wrestling. You're not talking about the attitudes that come with being either arrogant or respectful, are you? You're talking about just the arm wrestling. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I think that a lot of people, like, a lot of it has to do with, it goes so far. Like, I mean, you can go way back. You can go way back, like when people invented the top roll and half the arm wrestling world freaked out.
Yeah.
But this is a constant in our sport. It'll never go away. People will object to techniques which they're not comfortable with. And if you stick around long enough, like, different things will come into favor and others will go. But basically, you can never let that really affect you. And I feel like the whole side pressure deal, I think, and look at this, I'm biased. Everybody's biased. I feel like side pressure is the last piece of the puzzle, the very last. And I understand there's a whole shoulder commitment game. I get it. And I understand that when you have that shoulder piece locked in, the hand, I mean, do you need it? You want it, but do you need it? Well, if you can get your shoulder, like, I understand all that, but I also understand that, especially where you are, like 5, 6 years in the sport, how's your elbows? You're good?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's still fine.
Good. That's good. Most people, by your point, in experience, have already discovered that their elbows get really strong. Like, normally, somewhere around the 3 to 5 year point, people start to realize that they can just turn, and that thing's locked together, and they get really strong. It inevitably, for 98% of the arm wrestling population, will blow.
It breaks.
Okay?
Yeah.
To some degree. It just carries massive.
I think I was lucky that
piece to it.
The first flat out 4.5 years of me arm wrestling was no side pressure. It was hand control and drag only. And that was because of your influence when you first came out here. I really watched your style and thought, okay, learn to use the hand. And so I think my elbow has not done the time that you would think it's done at that red line effort. So I think I got
Yeah.
probably another 3-4 years before
Yeah.
I maybe hit that point that you talk about. But I want to ask you a question, Devon.
Well, I think it's probably getting stronger.
Yeah, well, it's definitely. I feel like I know it's not when we talk about what I can do in the gym. I know that my elbow is very conditioned now to being able to withstand side pressure.
I,
Yeah.
I think if you make it through that first 5-6 years and you don't blow it, you might never blow it.
Yeah. Well, for me, like you mentioned,
making it through that first bit that's the really hard part.
You mentioned before about attacking opponents' weaknesses and that being the more relevant theory in the execution of tactics on the table. And this leads into the next question that I wanted to ask you. Todd, one of the reasons I asked Todd to coach me for strength was because I identified him as being one of the people right down a certain end of the spectrum, i.e., he's got a short arm. You are someone who's got a long arm. John's someone who's got a middle-sized arm, an average-sized arm. And I felt that I had good experience in long arm style arm wrestling, but I didn't know the technical ins and outs of short arm wrestling very well. And I always feel like if we identify the fundamentals, same fundamentals you always talk about, wrist flexion, pronation, back pressure, and shoulder commitment, I always feel like which one of those fundamentals is most valuable to you is often dependent upon the length of your arm. So for you, even though you've won plenty of matches with shoulder line, I feel like that isn't your most valuable, where I feel like it just flat out is for Todd, because if Todd tries to keep hand against someone like you, it's going to be a bad day every day of the week. Even if he is crazy strong in his hand, I still think he's just fighting an uphill battle. So I want to know your opinion on short arm wrestling, long arm wrestling, and then given that I'm in the middle, do you think I need to be and I mean the short arm wrestling from Todd, I feel like just the same way that you create traps and dead spaces with your hand and technically outmaneuver people, I feel like Todd does that with his back pressure, side pressure combination to a degree as well. Do you see that?
I have had this discussion with lots of people, and I am quite locked into the belief that arm wrestling technique is universal. I think that it doesn't matter whether you have a small hand, big hand, long arm. I think that the rules are the same for everybody. You can find examples of tall dudes who like to hook, can't top roll. You can find examples of really short little dudes who can top roll like crazy, don't have a hook to save their life. I think that there are actually advantages to being short and having a small hand in the outside spectrum of arm wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as simple as, oh, you have these things, you arm wrestle this way. I just don't agree with it. I've had the discussion a lot. I think that the way that you move on the table is different. Yes, you have some different assets, obviously. Like when you have a long arm, the dragging of your elbow isn't as important. However, your ability to come forward is really amazing when you have a long arm. But when you have a short arm, right, your ability to use an elbow pad is amazing. Like because
you get that down pressure on.
The angles work. Yeah, look at Gary Goodrich versus Cleve Dean. Okay, Gary Goodrich top rolled Cleve Dean.
Yeah.
Okay. Tiny little baby hand. To me, it's about getting strong. Getting strong in these places, and that's the thing that I was kind of talking about earlier with the weakness, targeting weakness as opposed to focusing where you're strong. I think that I when I watch Todd Hutchings, he is amazingly strong, and he's gotten amazingly strong. But I think he focuses a lot on the sexy lifts, like the big numbers, which is cool. I like big numbers too. But the thing that's going to win you the match might be that stupid 30-pound lift that you increase by like 2 ounces on every couple minutes.
When I've found myself in positions like Todd in a match, and I very, very rarely, actually, I'll say Jordan Davis is the only opponent that I ever faced that I deliberately pull like Todd might. And that's because I can't keep my hand against Jordan. Jordan takes my hand away, no matter how much I try to keep it. So I pull like Todd. But everyone else, every time I've ever found myself in a position like Todd, I've found the most valuable fundamentals is a combination of side pressure and pronation. Even though my wrist is gone, still my pronation. If I lose my pronation, Jordan beats me. If I keep my pronation, I beat Jordan, basically. So
yeah, I think that there's a universal way to arm wrestle. And that includes floppers pressing.
Yeah.
That includes all forms of arm wrestling. There's a triangle. Okay, you control the top and you force people into smaller and smaller regions of operation.
Yep.
I think this is just universal technique. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the evolution of me going searching for the short arm mastery, because I feel like I'd invested so much time in long arm mastery, and then Justin Bishop kicked my ass, even though I felt like I was in a good position. That back in 2017,
hey, don't get too wrapped up that you're doing it wrong. When
No.
like Justin Bishop.
I don't think I'm doing it wrong. I just think this is just the history of what led my thoughts. The match with Justin was a real changing point for me to say, well, I couldn't have got any more hand control at that time. I didn't have fundamental strengths in other places, and I went out to try to fill them. And since then, I've felt like my power go from a top roll into a high hook into a defensive hook, and just now I'm starting to bring out a press. I even remember hearing you say everyone discovers their press someday, but I've felt my power filling those gaps, and I feel like I'm almost a complete arm wrestler now in terms of where I'm conditioned. But and I guess it was as I approached those lower regions of technique, that's when I reached out to Todd and was like, I want to really feel and develop that as well. So,
and I think that's fantastic. I poke fun because I like to poke fun at Todd a little bit, and boil it right down. There's no taking away that Todd Hutchings is one of the best arm wrestlers on the planet. Okay,
yeah,
and he's found stuff that is. He arm wrestles great, and he has found things that are unique to him. The thing that to me determines a great arm wrestler is they have an ability to move both in and out from where they get stuck.
Yeah.
So Todd Hutchings, he is good at throwing it, right? And the hand doesn't always come with, but it doesn't matter because he's stuck to you, and then the thing that he can do is he can move from there. I'll tell you, Todd actually should come forward a bit more. If Todd could press, he might have beat me in the arm wrestling.
If he had the press, he was in the right position for it.
Yeah, that's right. When we talk fundamentals of arm wrestling, like I have like a hierarchy of things that I think are super important. I don't think that I feel like 70% of your energy should be spent on cupping and rolling. I don't care really what you do, what style you are.
Well, that's John's advice too. When when I spoke to John after Zloty, he said to me, "Cup and pronation, Ryan. Cup and pronation."
Dude, it's not complicated.
Yeah,
it's really not. If you try and make it more complicated than that, you're wasting your energy and you're going down rabbit holes that they're part of the sport, but they're like little pieces. Man, cup and roll. cup and roll, and know how to arm wrestle.
Yeah, yeah.
But your strength, and that's two different things, right? But you want to get strong, man. Get a stronger cup. Get a better pronation. Spend a little bit of time on rising.
Yeah.
Spend a little bit. Like, and don't get crazy with it because nowadays when we have access to the strap the way we do, man, you're locked in. The whole rise game is very small.
Yeah.
And cup and roll. Get a little bit of supination in from time to time. So if you want to edge in with your shoulder, you can. Work your grip. Because if you want a king's move, you're going to need grip.
Yeah.
Love it or hate it. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
You know?
I haven't dropped into a king's move yet ever in my life, but I feel I will someday.
Well,
I just feel like I'm currently stronger in an open arm top roll where I'm at about this angle here. If I feel like I would get weak momentarily to transition all the way. So
everybody does. There's that moment of transition. But if you're up against a real bull and you have an extra 2 inches to drag your elbow back.
Yeah.
So
if I faced,
matches.
You mentioned a real bull. If I face Justin Bishop in WAL and he drives sideways, then if I have to, I'll do it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But you can't. The thing is you can't make rules to enforce technical. Yeah. You know, it's just going to cause more problems.
Yeah.
The thing is, these things are here to stay, so you might as well get strong in them. Might as well.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So for me, the season of training right now, like the most valuable thing that I feel like I got from Todd so far is an understanding of how to structure training around the Westside Barbell system and how to bastardize that to arm wrestling. And it's no doubt that I've had an amazing progression in the movements that I was doing specifically under that. So I'm now, and then it's interesting. I've also then listened to a lot of people say table time. Obviously, John was someone who was big on table time. Mindaugas Tarasitis, world champ at 75 kilos. He's a once a week table time guy. That's it. And so it was I enjoyed listening to him, but what I'm thinking at the moment, I'm in a season where I've said, all right, I want to focus on some hand again, and I want to, but I still want to keep the framework behind me of Todd's structure because I know that works so well. But it was interesting how you can apply that to table time with 1 rep max training, with speed training, with just volume training, and it's. I think that I feel like
it's difficult though, doesn't it?
It does, but I feel like if you combine the principles of Todd's frequency and volume with things like quality table time, like John or yourself would always talk about, I feel like that's the thing that's got me excited at the moment about the next season of training for me is to use some of Todd's principles in some other more Devon Larratt style ways.
Hey, look at I poke a lot of fun. The Westside Barbell system, I'm sure, is going to get you strong. I would make sure that I was focusing on those real fundamental strengths, and I don't see the internal stabilization to be like some really big part of that. I don't. It's not it's not really high up on anything technical that I think should be prioritized.
Yep.
That's the only thing that I would say. Yep. That'd be one of my only critiques.
I've heard you make mention of me before, where you said the only thing I was missing was top end.
Right. Yeah.
Elaborate on that for me. Where is the top end missing in you when you made that comment?
So I would say that there's a thing that separates a lot of guys. You get some guys out there who are really smart arm wrestlers, really good. Like, they can get wins on people that they shouldn't beat, who are stronger than them. And then there comes like this this like level where you're going to get strapped up to a dude.
Yeah.
And the game becomes a lot simpler.
Yeah.
And a guy who, somewhat knows how to arm wrestle and knows he just got to bend his wrist in super hard and not get turned over. You get locked to a guy, it starts to shrink your technical wiggle room.
Yeah.
Yep. And it comes down to, do you have enough horsepower to fight your way out of that phone booth? And that's the top end I'm talking about. I'm talking about you get tied to RVJ, and it's going to take, like, you may be a better technical arm wrestler, but it's going to take that serious top end. And the place that you need it in cup and roll.
Yeah. Yep.
The most dangerous thing you can have. Look, it's great to have shoulder commitment. That's awesome. It's going to hurt real bad. It's going to hurt real bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You cup a dude. You have superior cup to beat their pronation.
Yeah.
You have enough pronation to resist their cup. Match is over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's done.
Just like Evan Burgoyne. Same way that unfolded.
That's right.
Yeah. That was cup and pronation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's cup and pronation. Yeah. It's the most simple, effective thing that you can do. If you have those two things locked in, there's lots of people who have tons of success in weird and wacky stuff, but it's fringe, and that they're exceptions. You look at 90% of the arm wrestling greatness out there. These guys are all cupping and rolling, and they've got arms too and shoulders. It all connects.
Yeah,
but cup and roll like hard. And the beautiful thing about, and you can design programs a million different ways. I haven't spent a lot of time with Westside Barbell. And as much as I think that there's probably rules to systems that overlap all sports, I do think that there's a lot of special stuff that goes on in the forearm where you can train it to ridiculous intensities every day, And I'm of the belief now that you actually shouldn't train that hard. Ever since I got back from Poland, my trip gave me the insight that I'm training way too hard.
Yeah.
I need to train consistently at an intensity, but you just consistently work the proper rep range with heavy weight, and your graph is pretty steep. It's pretty steep.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
patience, man.
There, like you said, it's a windy path, isn't it? And we only get one go at it, so we can never really reflect back and say, "Hey, would I have been better if I did this?" We just are what we are, and we either get there or we don't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think like a nice general rule is always think, whatever I do, I get better at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very simple, right? And so I think that's a nice rule to follow. Another rule to follow is don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
Should always feel good.
Yeah.
It should always feel good. The whole pain and no pain, no gain thing, just get that out of your head. Like, no, your body loves you. It should feel good. So do what you want to get better at and feel good while you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Todd has a quote that's quite opposite to that. He'll say, pain isn't weakness, weakness is weakness. So
I don't know, man. I've suffered a lot.
I've
suffered, and I'll tell you that it's my belief that the body is really smart. And if you have your goals like really burned into your body, like if you dream about your goal, like if you're a passionate person, you don't need, like you've got the motivation, and your body, like you're doing a physical activity, your body's gonna help you more than any conscious thought is gonna. Like when your body is like, Brian, I'm not feeling so good anymore. I'd like a break.
Yeah.
Don't be that boss who's like, work harder. No, your body loves you too. Your body has that same goal. Your body wants to win the medal.
Yeah. You've got to you just got to
Takes
make sure.
patience, man.
I guess you've got to have a firm belief in your goal though for that, because
That's right.
it's easy to have.
But you do.
Yeah, I do.
Look,
I do.
if
for
I'm running a fat camp, or I'm dealing with a bunch of people who have got problems and haven't embraced physicality, yeah, I'm gonna run them into the ground and I'm gonna make them puke and stuff. But it's not the same for people who love sports and are really invested in self-development.
Yeah,
It's not the same.
Yeah. I appreciate that for sure, man. Well, thank you very much for that insight. I think it's kind of where I was headed. Like I said, I'm still training under Todd in terms of structure for the fundamentals of back pressure, side pressure. He's still guiding that, but there's a lot of hand cupping pronations coming back in and a lot more table time right now. So I think that the same Ryan in terms of style will always be there. We'll just keep the ball rolling, get stronger all in every position. And WAL mustn't be far away.
You're gonna be smarter than all of us. Just keep learning, keep on making mistakes.
Yeah.
And
keep on not being the strongest person in the room. That is a cool thing. That's why I loved going to Zloty, because the more times I can be across from someone who genuinely is stronger than me, the more I feel where I need to go next. So, and yeah, I'm happy with where I'm at right now, and I can't wait for the 2020 season. So it's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm. The losing person.
Yeah.
That's the place.
Yeah.
Because remember, if you can be stronger and lose, and that's still the coolest place to be too. Because when you're stronger and lose, that's a trip too.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's a technical eye opening there where you're like, hang on, what the hell?
That might not happen to you for a bit, but it might happen.
Well, Jordan Davis is always the guy that does that to me. He's the only one so far that I've ever gripped that I'm certain that I'm stronger than, that can still get wins on me. And I'm like, you cheeky little buck. But he pulls it off.
Yeah,
he does.
Good.
He does. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Is he still 160? Can he still like 165?
Yeah. He pulled at 165 in Zloty, and he was literally, he got elbow fouled out, micro elbow fouls when he'd won the match. He was that elbow foul out from being in the A-draw final. He was in the A-draw final if he didn't get an elbow fouled there. So he was.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's the dude at that weight for sure in Australia.
And how old is he now? He's
20,
so young,
20,
what
23,
is he, like?
23.
Yeah.
Heaps of time.
He's gonna be so good.
But he's been suppressing his weight for a while for opportunities. He really, really, really wants to become a middleweight. And I know that him at middleweight, 86 kilos to 200 pounds, or in that range there. I know that he's a bad dude, and he can hang with any of those guys. I think if he's that size, he's fine. It'd be even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you get back to your winter. I'm sweating in a tin. I'm sweating in a tin shed.
See you in April, buddy.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be good.
Don't train too hard. None of the rest of the guys are.
I reckon Evan is. Evan would be this time. He's gonna take it real serious. He lost a lot of.
He wants to kill you.
I think
he wants to kill you.
It's gonna be worse for him this time. I've felt him now. I know what his options are, and it's gonna be worse. It's gonna be 3 times.
Him losing twice is not going to be good for him.
He's going to pit himself 3 times in a row in this one. And there's
my God.
There's nothing he can do to stop it.
I can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be good. All right, man. Thank you for the phone call. Really appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
All right, take care.
Hey, remember, work the delts and the pectors.
Yeah, for Hectares. All right. See you, brother.
Later, buddy.
Yes, that's a man!